vision blurring, almost passing out, drowsiness over and over in a perpetual looping pattern. Every approximate 30-second intervals, approximately, to disrupt continuity of thought, erase active memory. And the only way I can ever minimize the attacks is to just keep trying to document it, but it's just a game. It's a deadly game. It's a hyper game theory. The torture is based on the hyper game, which is based on the hyper game theory. Force the victim to perpetually respond. Synaptic responses for whole brain emulation. They're breaking the brain of the victim down to the synaptic level. And they don't care even if the victim's trying to get medical help from doctors. They don't care about any of that. It doesn't mean anything to them. They're blocking, manipulating my medical treatment for years. I have no access to any money right now except a few dollars in my pocket and the gas in the tank of my car. And they're targeting me with drowsiness as I'm in my car driving. They're targeting every time I try to watch Christian content. They're using drowsiness to disrupt my continuity of thought, erase memory to minimize the cognitive effect of the Christian content, which is breaking brain entrainment with the supercomputer and depatterning and deconstructing the satanic ritual abuse. They're going to force me out of the country before I can get medical treatment. That's why they've been continually disrupting my medical treatment. The torture is so severe the victim can't endure it and is forced to flee to countries which may help him. I don't even have money to buy a passport right now. I've already tried that. We're targeting the faith and belief system of their victims, the faith and belief system of their trauma-based mind control victims is an important metric in their training, research, and development. Severe remote neural attacks of drowsiness over and over in a perpetual looping pattern each day at regular intervals. It cannot allow the victim to ignore them. The system cannot allow the victim to sit in his house or his car or wherever and ignore the attacks, ignore the provocations, their technology. The system, the RNM supercomputer, the system of remote neural networks the victim's brain is remotely tied to for life, is passively monitoring 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all the electromagnetic emissions, the brain waves of the victim. But at regular intervals each day, they have to verify their technology. There has to be some type of chaos or trauma for the supercomputer to verify the responses of the victim. So, because the remote neural monitoring happens in cycles, the initiation of the site, even though it's passive monitoring 24/7, the active monitoring cannot begin. The action or access sequence must happen before it can monitor and before it can remotely measure the brainwaves of the victim and integrate it back into RNM data as it forms coherent patterns of thought to create a cognitive model for direct behavioral control over the victim. It must first run the victim through a verification routine each day, where the system looks for patterns of brainwaves. The last response of the victim, whatever it is, becomes the pattern for the next wave of torture and harassment. So the system is building patterns using a hyper game theory. The victim is forced to play the game to function and survive. The victim is forced to keep responding. That's how trauma-based mind control works. Going on for hours as I try to listen to Christian content, read my Bible. I'm forced to keep breaking off because of this remote neural attacks of Johnson. It's only a matter of time before they force me out of the country again. I can't get medical help.